Red Dead Redemption is built on guns, revolvers, rifles, Deadeye. But what happens if you take that all away? No guns, no Deadeye, just a knife and a lasso. So can you beat the entire game like this? Well, let's find out. The journey starts out on a boat, heading into a lawless land. We arrive greeted by government agents, who put us onto a train sent after Bill Williamson. We find Jake, who brings us all the way to the place where Bill was hiding. We talk a bit, and then we try to shoot him, but then his men shoot us before we can. Well, I guess the challenge runs over before it even begins. Just kidding. Bonnie McFarlane finds us on the ground and she brings us to recover at her ranch. This part of the chapter was slow, but it was okay and fun. We go exterminate some rabbits, then wolves, and finally we killed 2 guys who were robbing another guy. After a bit, we raised Bonnie, and then we went to herd some cows, then I went to play some horseshoe to chill off. Finally, I went to do some horse breaking, broke some horses, and bring it back to the ranch. Then we meet Mr. McFarlane, who made us do another horse breaking mission. After that, we go do another cow herding mission, which gets interrupted by some lightning, which scares the horses, making them run for the cliff. Don't worry, I saved them all and bring them back to the ranch. Then we go do a mission with the sheriff, where we have to find Walton and capture him. First I have to take out a bunch of enemies, which was pretty easy, and then we found Walton, but instead of capturing him, I made quick stuff out of him and killed him. And then the sheriff said I'm not a bad shot. I mean, I'm not really any shot without a gun. After that we go do another mission with the sheriff, where we have to go into this canyon to take out a bunch of outlaws, which was pretty easy with the help of other sheriffs. Nearing the end, there are a lot of people who spawned, but it was okay, I took care of them and freed the hostages who were there. After that, we meet the sheriff again, who was looking for someone in a town, so we went to the town looking for them in 3 places until we saw this barn, which had 4 wooden plaques on it, and they told me to shoot it, which I most clearly did not, so I waited for a while until they shot it for me, and then we saw that he wasn't there either. So then we had to go into this house, take out a couple people on the porch, some on the stairs, and then we got into the situation where this guy held this person hostage. So what I had to do was to strategically lasso him and then knife him before he kills the girl. And then we meet Bill again, talk with him a bit, and then he runs away, sending all of his men at us. I killed all of them, which were like 3 waves, and then we found one last survivor, who I gave for the guys to deal with. After a bit, we went with Bonnie to find her father, which we did, and then we went back to the town to see the barn burning. So I did a bit of Spider-Man parkouring to get up and in, to open up the door and send out 2 horses and jump out with the last. After that, we go back to Mr. McFarlane, who thought I kidnapped her daughter, and then we told her we didn't, so then we went to the people who we knew kidnapped her. This part was pretty easy. There were just a bunch of guys with pistols, so I could easily slash through them. They did group up into big groups, so it was a bit harder then, but then I easily slashed through all of them, and then cut Bonnie off the rope, and a bit more slashing later, I untied her and finished the mission. Then we meet Seth, who was looking through a grave to find something. Then we go with him to Benedict Point, where we have to steal a police's horse to get wanted and chase the police away. Then we come back to him, and he tells us to lasso Moses, so we do, and we bring him back to Seth so he can question him. Then we meet him again, packing up to go somewhere to find his treasure. So then we drove him to the place, and of course he had haters who wanted to kill him. It's okay, this one wasn't as bad. I just had to get on and off the car a couple of times and kill the guys who wanted to kill us. After a while, we bring him to the cemetery, where we had to go to the mansion because that's where the treasure was apparently at. This part had the usual number of enemies, this time more spread out, so it was a bit easier. I had to do a bit more running, which was okay. Before we went in, there was a guy on the 2nd level which I couldn't reach, so I just had to wait for Seth to kill him for me. Then we went to the basement to find some people in the entrance and up the stairs, and finally we found the treasure chest, and there was a glass eye. Well, I guess you could sell that for something, Seth. And then comes Wes Dickens, who told me to drive to Armadillo, but what he didn't tell me was he had a bunch of haters who wanted to kill him. It took me a couple of attempts. I bring him there barely alive. Then we met him again, this time selling some magic juices which apparently heal anything, and then he chose me as a test subject. Like, come on. He made me shoot a skull one time, which was 1 bullet I had to shoot, and then this guy got sus, so then he told me to shoot his hat out of the air. If I didn't shoot it, it would fail me, so I had to do another shot, and because I was so good, he wanted to box me up, so I punched him a bit, and then I KO'd him, and he got up from the floor, and he tried to shoot me, so I had to shoot his gun out of his hand. Come on, 3 shots? That's not cool, West. Then we meet up with him again, who tells us to go on a race against 8 other people in a cart, and I very easily won that. Then we meet him again, selling the magic juices again. This time everyone wanted to kill him because they knew what he was doing, that he was up to no good and this was fake. So before leaving west, I took out these guys so they wouldn't follow us. Then I got onto the cart with him. But when I was on the cart, people would just spawn around us. So because I couldn't take out my lasso when I was on the cart, I just had to hop off, lasso the people off their own horses, kill them, and then get back on the cart. I just repeated this until we hit a roadblock, which was 2 carts of TNT and 2 people waiting for us. I took care of the 2 people, but the carts, not so much. I couldn't lasso nor knife them, and the enemies couldn't shoot it for me either, so I did have to shoot one more time to progress. After that, I went to cool off by doing another race, this time on the horse, which I obviously won. Like, look how far ahead I was compared to them. After that, we meet Irish getting drowned by French and Welsh. Pretty cool first impression. So we have to take both of them out, and then he told us where to find the Gatling gun, which was in this shack. So I went there, took out a couple of enemies who were guarding it, and of course, it wasn't there. So then I hopped onto this train to find him drunk in this town, so I woke him up and made him tell us where it actually is, which was near this mine. These 2 people tried to kill me, so I just stole their horses and rode off into the entrance of the mine, where I took out a bunch of people easily. Then we actually had to go in the mine, which was a bit hard because all of the people had rifles and TNT all around them, so I had to carefully run in and run out and kill all the people without dying until we found the Gatling gun, which we took and slid down all the way to the elevator, which Irish used to bring us all the way up to the surface. And then we slid a bit more until this random guy just puts TNT on the rail for some reason, and if I didn't shoot it, I would explode and die. So I had to shoot one more time so I didn't die and so I could progress. Then we found him drunk again, keeping 2 sisters at gunpoint. So we took his gun, knocked some sense into him, so that he can bring us to his friend Shaky, who was in the same situation as Irish, almost getting killed by some random people. So we had to take care of them, untie him, and then take out some people near some bags, upstairs, and then we go backyard to take out a bunch of revolver holding people, until Shaky and Irish happily reunite by arguing again. Then we separate them by taking Irish to Bonnie, but we get interrupted by some guys who want to kill him. So I had to hop off by doing a somersault off the cart, take the people off their horses, and then kill them. And then we had to repeat that until we bring him to the McFarlane Ranch. Then comes the next issue, Gatling gun missions. This one started me out going with the sheriff's team, scouting out the place. Then they put me in the back of a cart with a Gatling gun. You can't leave, you can't avoid shooting, you're just stuck. I couldn't really count the amount of shots taken, so I just put it separately into a separate tally. I tried to minimize shots as much as possible, but it's hard with all the guys moving around and stuff. After a bit, they bring me out to do this again. This was in the same mission, so I won't count it differently. I also tried to minimize shots here. Eventually, we capture one of Bill's men, beat the answers out of him, and learned that Javier and Bill fled to Mexico. So then we had Wes escort us to the border. Off we go with Irish by the boat. Here we had a bunch of enemies at the line of the riverbank. There were some people who threw dynamite, which were especially annoying, and I had to lasso them off the cliff the earliest because they could easily kill Irish, and if he dies, I fail the mission. The rest of the people had rifles and pistols, which Irish and I easily took care of by him gunning them down and me lassoing them off the cliff. A bit later, we got to the shore. 2 people happily greeted us, and I greeted them with my knife. Now we arrived in Mexico. After all of that, we met Captain DeSanta, who makes us guard a train engine horseback, which was actually one of the times when the lasso really helped. What I did was not kill them, because then I had to get off my horse. Instead, I just lassoed them off their horses and leave them on the ground. They did start to chase after me again, but sooner or later the game would just forget about them or just not care about them. Then when we were done delivering the train to the city, we went to drink a bit to celebrate, but then while we were drinking in the bar, the rebels took the train. So I had to get onto my horse, jump onto it, and knife all the enemies on the roof and in the cars and stop it before it falls off the cliff. Then comes some more fighting for the Santa, like going to rebel villages and taking out all the rebels, then burning all the houses. And this is the time where I got access to the fire bottles, which I can use later on. Then we meet the Santa again, where we had to break into the rebels HQ. Here we had a sniper section, which I just had to wait for the other soldiers to shoot them. Then they broke in, so I took those guys out, and then the real part comes. This part had like 50 enemies with dynamite, fire bottles, and rifles. It did take me a couple of attempts, but after a while I got them all and I took over their place. Next we had to escort a train down rebel country, and in reward he would give us 20,000 pesos and the location of Javier Escuela. That's exactly what we needed, so we said yes, and then we escorted them to their place. I had to lasso a bunch of enemies off their horses, and after a while we got to the train, and then they put us onto the train with a Gatling gun and they told me to man it.
No.
This part was actually very simple because I didn't really have to do anything other than lasso a couple of people because they're pretty bad at shooting the engine. They almost broke it, but we made it, and this marked the end of the Santa's quest for a bit. and now we went to meet Landon Ricketts. Before we could find him, some guys came up to us and they asked us what harm could we do to them. I showed them the harm I could do by shooting all 3 of them. This was all in a cutscene, so we're good. And then we actually meet Landon Ricketts, who gives us lessons of how to shoot and use Deadeye, which we didn't really ask for. The first part had 3 bottles which we had to shoot all at the same time with Deadeye, but I couldn't get out of this part either. If we shot 1 bottle, the drunkard would yap about who's drunk, him or me. If I would throw fire, he would die and I would fail. If I looked to the side, I would fail. Just kidding. So I did have to shoot 3 more times and another 2 for these birds. And then we saved 1 more hostage and the mission was done. After that, we found out Emilio's sister got kidnapped, so we went to his father by train for like the 50th time for him to help us take her back. So then we go into the cave, knife a bunch of people, and then put some dynamite on the door, shoots it, and it explodes, freeing the girl. Then while we're taking the girl back to safety to her father, we take out some more people and made it to the end. And then we played some more poker with Landon, and apparently we played so good that Miller thought that we were cheating. So he challenged us to a duel. I couldn't escape, so I had to shoot him 1 time. And then before we could leave, another guy challenged us to a duel. He was holding a hostage, so we had to shoot him. So we had to shoot him without shooting the hostage. And then we talked a bit about our past, how all of our gang left us, and then a girl told us that Elenda is sending more people to their deaths, so we had to go and stop that with Landon. By going with Landon to take out the drivers without wrecking the wagon, so I just had to lasso everyone, the horses very easily, and then we took the wagon which had a bunch of American prisoners in it. We took them over the border, back to America, and then this is where we said goodbye to Landon Ricketts. Then we learned from Louisa that the revolution was coming, so we had to take her to the seashore by the cart before sundown. We meet her again, and then we learned that Reyes was captured sadly, so we had to go and free him. Here it was a bit harder because you're supposed to execute the executioner with a rifle. Because we couldn't use it, I had to find a different way. If I got too close to him, they would just kill him before I could knife or lasso them. So the only way I found possible was if I jumped onto this wall, and after a bunch of attempts, a fire bottle that I threw perfectly landed, and it would kill the executioner, and they would now be all aggroed onto me. So I had their attention away from Reyes, so then I could just simply kill all of them, and then untie him and bring him back to his wife. After that, we go to the Santa and Elenda, who said that the men we wanted were captured in Chiparosa. So we went there with the Santa to the church, and of course we got knocked out and captured and almost shot, but then Reyes saved us and freed us. And then we got our knife back so then we could knife all the people easily and wait for the rest of the people to kill the other people on the 2nd level. After a bit, the game told us to take out Espinosa, and when we did, the mission ended and the game forgot about all the other people and everyone was celebrating for the revolution. After that, we got back to Louisa to be meted with her men with a bunch of guns, and then we actually meet Louisa and we tell her that we're doomed. Then we went and set up some dynamite to explode some people, and when it came time to explode it, I just didn't, and the game didn't really care about it, so I just went down, lassoed and all the people until it was done. Then we learned that again the Santa was sent to oversee a massacre in El Sepulcro, so we went there, saw him killing people, so for that we went and killed all his men. And then we ran after him, hogtied him, and punched the answers out of him. And when he gave us the answers, we rewarded him with the firing squad. Then when we went to the place, he told us that Escuela was in. There was only a bunch of army men there, of course, who we easily took care of. And at the end, we asked this woman where he was, and she said he hasn't been seen here in months. She also said, did we really shoot up this place all for him? I mean, we didn't really shoot it up, but after that, we go back to Reyes, who we ride out to Chiparosa to break into a train. And for this, we got a new item, the throwing knife, which was like a silenter version of the knife. So I used it to take out a bunch of guards silently and then detach a cart. Then the game told us to use a Gatling gun, which we didn't, and just took out all of these guys easily only with my knife, including this guy with his own Gatling gun who was difficult, but I did kill him. Then we took another train out and took some dynamite to blow it up and crack a safe and got some money from it. Then we meet Reyes again, who puts me in front of a cart full of TNT, which I had to hop out of right before it hit the door. When it exploded, there were a bunch of enemies waiting for me to kill them with my knife, which I do, and while we were doing that, we had to find a Escuela and 3 hiding spots. And then when we found him, we talked a bit with him about his past, and then he threw a box at us to knock us down and for him to jump out the window and ran away. Shortly after, we lassoed him off his horse and threw him into a jail cell to wait for us. After that, the game told me to use a cannon, which I didn't, and instead just ran out to the entrance and lassoed all the people. I did have to watch out for the cannons because they could shoot and kill me, but after a bit, we got back to Escuela, picked him up, and bring him all the way to the government at the border. Now we just needed Bill. When we got back to the village, we saw Reyes almost getting killed. So we saved him by shooting 2 guys in a cutscene, but sadly the last guy wanted to duel me, so I did have to shoot him one time outside of a cutscene. Then we found 3 jail cells with a bunch of people in it who we had to free. I tried to use a throwing knife which didn't work, and dynamite which exploded and killed all the people, so I did have to shoot 3 more times to free all the people. Then we had to take out a bunch of government people like this guy with a Gatling gun, then a bunch more people. Then we blew up the gate and started breaking into the mansion, and that's when Bill started to run away. So then we chased after him and finally caught up, and then I had to kill him, and then I had to kill him with my throwing knife because I couldn't use my normal knife because I was stuck there. And after we did that, we were finally done with Mexico, so we could head back to America to get Dutch and meet our family. This part starts with Agent Ross and his people using me like a tool again. We roll out to rescue an informant by car, then we get to the informant, but he was really hurt, so we had to carry him out, which we did barely because I couldn't use my knife at all, and the people were just shooting at us and I couldn't do anything. While we were bringing him back, the car broke down. While they were fixing the car, we got attacked, so I lassoed and took out all the people, and when they were done fixing the car, we bring him back to the city to MacDougal. Then we went to the top of the building to scope out some of Dutch's men. The first 2 guys started to escape on the horse, so I found an angle for the fireballs to hit and kill them. Then 4 other people tried to leave, and I had to shoot 3 of them, and I could let the last guy leave, and the game would be okay with that. Then we went towards to save some more people. I threw a fire bottle to the window to break it so I didn't have to shoot the door, and when we got in, I had to save another captive by lassoing, pushing, then killing the enemies. After that, we went upstairs to see Dutch keeping a woman at gunpoint. We tried to save her, but Dutch shot her anyway, so we had to get after him, and we went out where we thought he was at, and instead of him, there were just a bunch of his men, which we easily took out. And at the end, they told me to make sure to put a bullet in Dutch's head, which I will. Then Natas, MacDougal, and I went up to the mountain to find Dutch. After a bit, we make it up there, do a bit more climbing up the mountain, then we reach a dead end in the cave. 3 miners jump us, so I take care of them, but they shot Natas. He can't move on, so we left him. Just kidding, I was good. I just walked it off and kept climbing until we got to the top of the mountain, took this guy out, took his binoculars, and saw Dutch who was killing people. He also sniped me with his auto aim. Then Natas and Dougal dragged us off the mountain, waked us up with some smelling sauce, and sent me back out again. We ride out with Dougal again, but then we get attacked by a bear, kill it, and then find Dutch's men who shot Natas, so I shoot all of them in a cutscene. Then I have to take out the rest of Dutch's men who were here easily, and while we were riding back to Blackwater with Dougal, I take out some more people, and after a bit we arrive at his place. Then we learned that Dougal was packing up to leave, but before he could, Dutch turns up at the town. Soon after that, Dougal gets held hostage by an enemy on the top of the roof. I just lasso and then kill him. After that, we find a bunch more of Dutch's men on top of other rooftops with us. Since I couldn't reach them with my lasso, knife, or throwing knife, I ended up using my fire bottles and dynamite to clear the roofs without using my gun at all. It was pretty easy, and after a bit, it was done, so I bring Dougal to the train station, took out some men on the way, and the mission ended. After that, we had to do one more ride where Ross drags me into another forced Gatling gun section on horseback. Here I tried to again minimize shots and only kill people who were necessary, like dynamite throwing people who would otherwise blow us up. Then a bit later, a TNT card was coming towards us, so I had to shoot that too, but that didn't stop us from blowing up because we did a bit later, and now I was finally done with the Gatling gun section and we could ride up to the mountain to Dutch, which we did, and a bit later we blew up the gate and started one of the last combat sections. This section was similar to the first encounter with Dutch's men, like all of the guys having rifles and dynamite, so then I took out the first section, and during the second section, I actually had a choice if I wanted to use the Gatling gun. For a second I thought maybe, but I remembered knife only, so instead I just knifed everyone until it was only me and Dutch. Dutch had the higher ground with a Gatling gun, so first I had to take off his men. Then the game told me the lamps could catch on fire, so I threw my throwing knife at it and it caught on fire and he started running away. So I ran after him to the top of the mountain where we had a final conversation and he said he had a plan, like always. And then Dutch steps off the cliff, finishing it off. Ross shows up, shoots the body a few more times to make it look good, and just like that, the government's work was done. At least that's what they want John to think. We go home and see that Abigail was really happy to see us. Then we meet Jack and Uncle, and for a little bit the game becomes slow and peaceful again like in the beginning of the game. We ride out to the McFarland ranch, herd some cows back to our house, and we lasso and knife some guys who want to kill us on the way to our house. Then we wake up Uncle to herd some cows and break some horses with him. After that, we throw some fire bottles at the crow to make confetti for Abigail, Abigail. Then we got a letter from McFarland, who apparently really wants us to stop, so we went to them, almost fall into the water, and deliver some corn sacks for her. A bit later, we see Jack reading a book about a guy who hunts down a man who killed his father. A quiet bit of foreshadowing for Jack's future. If you know, you know. And then we follow Rufus all the way to some elk, buy knife and skin, and then we see that Jack also learned how good a knife is, and we sell the elk skin and go and hunt some wolves we exterminate. And then we learn from Uncle that Jack was so brave with his knife that he went to kill a bear, so we had to go save him and kill the bear. This took a while because the knife barely did any damage, but after a while the bear died and we bring Jack back to our house. And then we talk with Jack one last time before Uncle sees the government coming back for us. The final attack on our house was pretty difficult because the game leans towards using the rifle and the sniper, but because I'm only using my knife, I have to get really close to kill them, and while I'm getting close to kill them, they can shoot me a couple of times. After a bit more killing, Uncle got shot and died, and even after that, the game spawned even more enemies, like some snipers and dynamite throwers. After killing the last guy, we bring Jack and Abigail into the barn and sent them away. Standing there, I already knew what was coming. We opened the barn doors that I activated. I did nothing and let them hit me with all the bullets they had in their guns. And there it is, Red Dead Redemption 1 completed mostly with no guns, just a knife, a lasso, and a lot of patience. This was honestly one of the strangest challenges I've done. Some missions worked perfectly, others completely fought against me, but somehow it all worked in the end. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to subscribe because there are more challenge runs coming soon, and I'll see you in the next run.